Welcome to our first episode of Now Included Unfiltered, a podcast to share real, unfiltered stories right from our community. We have all been excluded. There's this feeling, this knot in your stomach, this pain from knowing that you aren't included. Our healthcare should never leave us feeling this way. For 5 years, we've worked diligently, traveling across the country, going into our communities because we felt like we were already excluded from places and conversations where we all should be included. We've heard loud and clear from our over 170,000 community members that people want a two-way conversation. We need a safe place to host honest conversations about our health and yours. Now Included Unfiltered is just that. I am so excited to meet up with local leaders and hear what's truly happening in our communities, what's thriving, what's missing. This is our chance to give a voice to those who have been excluded for far too long. This week on Now Included Unfiltered, join me and my business partner, Del Smith, as we venture through the French Quarter on a horse and carriage. We cover what inspired us to start working in health equity, medical mistrust, the influence of AI in healthcare, and what that means for our future. These are unfiltered stories. This is an unshakable community. Come on, we've saved you a seat. My name is Tiffany Whitlow, and this is Now Included Unfiltered. Now Included Unfiltered. I am so excited to have the one and only Del Smith here with me today.
What's going on, partner?
Hey, partner. If you didn't know, now you know. This is my business partner, the CEO of Acclinate, and I am so honored to have you here. Going all the way back to the beginning, where we had these early ideas, these early visions about always being on, about reaching people in the local communities, meeting them right where they already are. Yeah. And here we are. Now, I just got to say, we happen to be in the same city today, but this is not actually
not usually the case. Not usually the case at all. In the early days, what people don't know is that like you and I spent so much time in a room huddled up trying to get this thing going, right? I tell people it's almost like we were trying to light this little tinder of a fire, and then look at us now.
So, you know, there might be somebody who's watching or listening who might not know like the Del and Tiffany story. And I know I joke and I say, you know, we met at a bus stop, we met all these crazy places, but you really actually left the classroom to come follow this dream. Like, tell me, like, unfold a little bit of that journey.
Wow. So yeah, 14 years as a business school professor, then as a dean of a business school, HBCU specifically, and so
the Alabama A&M University, because I am a new mom to. So, now he might only actually be a student there for 1 year, but I'm gonna own it while I can.
Let's not say that.
I'm gonna own it while I can.
So yeah, 14 years higher education, a PhD, all the years through school to get to that point. But the reality was I love doing business more than I love talking or teaching about business, and so this is really about me just kind of getting back to my passion. But it was a great experience, especially at Alabama A&M University.
Yeah. So, I mean, why Acclinate?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, to do this work, as you know, you got to have an origin story, a reason for getting up every single day. For me, I tell people, my mom, who I looked up to growing up, was the love of my life. She was a nurse. Unfortunately, she contracted tuberculosis doing home health care, and in and out of the hospitals. Unfortunately passed away a year later. Come to find out there's a clinical trial in the area that nobody ever told us about. And it really kind of stuck with me, like, that doesn't make sense. But I will also say my mom was a skeptic of the healthcare system. And I don't know if we had told her about the trial, if she wanted to actually take part in that.
Right, yeah.
So those two things, right? Knowledge and access, and then also the trust in the healthcare system. And I think that trust is really the root of what we really do with the community.
No, 100%. I mean, we say now is the time for people to take control of their health, for them to really be empowered and motivated to not just go for standard of care, right? Because standard of care wasn't really developed for us. And I know as founders, we've had a lot of personal things happen and unfold in our real lives. Yeah. But for you, I remember when you were sick and you went to the doctor and you thought you were dying. You were like, oh my God, Tiffany, let me figure out what kind of insurance I have in place. And so can you unfold for us a little bit of that and like what that test was like and how you felt? Like, what was...
Yeah, everybody has their healthcare journey, right? If you live in this world long enough, you have your story about how you interacted with the healthcare system. And unfortunately, for many of our communities, that's not a positive experience. And so, your point you're making is very valid. I caught COVID very early. I traveled to New York City, even before it was really known that that was like, ground zero for COVID. Caught COVID, I was down for about a month. Now, I remember my doctor saying, yeah, ignore that test result because it's not calibrated for people like us. And even that was kind of
a trigger for me. It was a trigger for me.
Absolutely. That, listen, we've got to do a better job about ensuring that this system is not something that we just experience and that it's a byproduct of, but that we actually take proactive steps to try to change.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the really cool things is we both have personal stories. Mm-hmm. We both knew we needed this authentic platform. I appreciate you for trusting me and following the vision. And now really is a time, and like now representing the timeliness to make this change in your life today. But then for all of us to be included, and even when I kind of unfold the reasoning for like the naming convention of included, I feel like in my personal journey, I have felt excluded many times, right? I mean, from day one, literally, if you look at my story, my mom was like, oh, I can't keep you because you are biracial. And so like that exclusion factor, I have many stories in my life that has been present and true. And I think it has for many people. And I feel like people have been excluded in making their healthcare decisions. And that's deep. Like, this is really about empowering people to be able to say, like, actually, you hold the keys to your journey and you're in control. Now, let's fast forward 5 years. A lot of things have happened. Number one, we experienced a lot of social and civil unrest in our nation. George Floyd, COVID-19, influencers and social media really blew up. But then there's AI. And from day one, you have talked about artificial intelligence and how this really is the future. Now, I'm just saying, for the record, this was before what it is today. Yeah. You were out here on these platforms. I remember us doing a program, Bridging the Gap, trying to make sure that older people in Birmingham, Alabama really understood what that was, how it's being leveraged in healthcare. So can you unfold a little bit, like, why is that so important? Why was it important then? And why is it even more important now?
Yeah, well, so my background is in technology, and there's an element of this where if you think about technology at its basics, it's the ability to use tools to get things done.
Yeah.
And when you look at the challenge that we have about empowering our communities, I knew that technology had to be front and center in that whole model. And so, I didn't envision this any other way but to integrate that level of technology.
Yeah.
And to your point, you say I was early in the AI discussion.
Yeah.
But you're always taking chances and bets in this space, and it just so happened that AI is mainstream today, and that we leverage that. We have a patent on our process with using AI to facilitate this work. But I love to say it was just about being smart. But part of this is just, I think, when you're passionate about the work, and then you combine it with these life experiences, that you're in a unique position to offer a solution that is unique and valuable. And I think that's what we've created with Acclinate and with Now Included.
So what do you really think the future looks like? I mean, like, are people going to be able to go to the doctor and a computer, like you're going to walk in the lobby and a computer is going to be able to diagnose you? Do you believe people are going to still need that personal touch?
Yeah, there's no question about it. All right. Sometimes people have talk about this concept of a digital twin, which is being able to basically take everything that you are and put it in a digital format, so that when it comes time to test drugs, that we can test it on your digital twin instead of testing on you. But what people don't realize is that that digital twin doesn't encompass you, right? Your habits, how you are going to think about taking the medicine, right? And so you will always have the human component that's important in this, no matter how far technology goes. The human component has to be at the center always.
A part of this strategy, like I said, is meeting people where they are. You are out here in these streets, traveling around at different conferences. I really applaud you for being able to... Why are you laughing at that?
I'm laughing, Tiffany, because I work with you. I know that what we have built and what we've accomplished to date is as much you as it is me. So
I know. But don't be discounting yourself right now. Okay,
I'm
sir.
not discounting.
Okay.
I'm making sure that you're part of the equation.
I know I'm included.
Okay, all right, good.
So a lot of it is really you positioning yourself, because one of the early realities that we knew is I'm a double minority. So in this space, we entered a space that was really primarily Caucasian. A lot of the industry decision makers were Caucasian. But we've been able to, over the 5 years, really get to a point where we are supported by everybody. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what your background is. All of industry now, 5 years fast forward, has said, we care about health equity. And so as you're traveling around in these different communities, you're having these authentic conversations with people at the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world. You have to be so proud of yourself.
Well, listen, I appreciate what you're saying about being proud. I think the counter to that is there's so much work to do.
Okay.
And that there's so many people that are suffering, and that we have just scratched the surface on what we need to do.
And this is one thing we really agree on.
Yeah. And so I think you wake up, and listen, I'm even going to say our recent political environment with some of the laws that have been changed recently, where we know a lot of people are going to be without health insurance.
The FDA guidance not coming out when it was going to.
And so it puts even more importance on the work that we do. And so I just think, frankly, I appreciate what you're saying, and I do think we need to stop at times and just appreciate what we built to date. But there's so much work to be done. There's so many people who need what we're doing, that need to know about what we're doing, that need to be part of this. So I think that's what sticks with me every single day.
This podcast is brought to you by Acclinate's Now Included community.
Get trusted resources backed by medical pros for your health. Tap into real experiences from people who look like you, and find a safe place for your story. Walk into a space where being you is celebrated and find your power. Your health, your story, your power.
There really is something for everyone on the Now Included platform. We have big visions and big goals. And listen, I'll say you helped me really understand this in the beginning. You cannot boil the ocean. You cannot do everything at one time. And so as we really have been able to grow and scale, we've had a lot of people reach out and really want mental health resources.
Yes.
So as a busy CEO, how have you been able to prioritize your mental health? What do you do to really take time for Dell?
Wow. Listen, I think this topic of mental health is something that we can't talk enough about. And unfortunately, we don't talk about it too often. And particularly, I will speak from a male perspective. Right? I think there's a certain expectation of men in society about how we're supposed to provide and contribute. And it doesn't leave a lot of space and room for us to be vulnerable, for us to kind of lay it out there and say, I'm having problems. What I've found is that for me, because I'm so connected so often, for me, my mental health sometimes comes from disconnecting, right? And so those solitary moments where I'm able to just reflect, pause. Somebody once told me, pause, breathe, go. Practicing that. And but listen, it's not easy. We don't spend enough time talking about mental health, especially for men. It's something that we're expected to be the providers and to be strong. But listen, it's tough out there in the world. I don't care who you are or what stature you've attained. But for me, it's really important just to take time, pause, solitude, reflect. I got to do that in order to stay centered.
Yeah, and really internalize those feelings, whatever you're going through, and then go, make that next decision. You always tell us, flawlessly execute. But with flawless execution comes proper planning, too. So,
no doubt.
I really, really believe in that. One of the real unique things that I think might be a surprise to some people is how connected we still are to our brands. I think I envision big brands, and sometimes I see the founders really disconnected. But it's really interesting because our investors appreciate the way that we lean into our community, the way that we're making the next business decision because we've heard from our community this is what they want.
Yep.
How do you think we're going to be able to grow and scale and focus on what the people want and not what industry wants from us?
Yeah, I think it's with the things that we do every single day, the little things we do every single day, right? Our brand is almost like our DNA.
Yeah.
And you just don't change your DNA.
Yeah.
Right? And so for us, it's in the people that we hire, it's with our messaging, it's with understanding that before we do anything, our first thought isn't about industry or isn't about making money. Our first thought is what's in the best interest of the people. And from a business standpoint, that really works out pretty well because I think we've built something so unique that the industry has taken notice. And as long as we continue to do that, Tiffany, we will always be fine as a business.
It's so interesting. Early days, we couldn't stay away from each other. Now it's okay, we have a team, we have people that we trust, we have an SLT team, we have a strategic leadership team of people that we really rely on. And, I'm really glad in 2025 we added that layer within the company so that, there is a little bit of separation, especially for me. as you say, I'm in the weeds.
In the weeds.
But in the weeds for me oftentimes is being in the community. And I think it's something that I personally have struggled with because I genuinely enjoy being in the community.
Yeah.
And even, having this newer platform kind of takes us back to the beginning. It's like back to the basics, being in the community, having these honest, vulnerable conversations with real people, but then like show how we're changing the narrative through these conversations, show how people are making decisions off of what they've heard through someone else's story. So I just really appreciate like the evolution of where we are now versus then. You might joke and say it's in the weeds, but it's in the community, okay?
It is. Listen, what I love about us, people sometimes ask about us as founders and kind of this thing that we do together, which is really unique. And I appreciate you and what you bring to the table. So being in the weeds, the visionary, the person that's out there connecting with people, because that's what you do so naturally. And for me, you know how I am. Like, I'm about what do the numbers look like? But that's what makes this so special. And frankly, that's what I think is required to continue to build on this mission that we have. We're just getting started.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about it.
But I'm so proud to be on this journey with you. I really I couldn't imagine kicking this off with anyone else. And I feel like there's so many people that want to hear our journey. This is going to be a platform for other people to share their stories and their journey. But I feel like, how can I do that authentically without talking about our own and talking about how we got here and talking about maybe even what the future looks like?
Yeah.
Now, Del, I'm gonna have you put that professor hat on, okay?
Okay.
That, sometimes I call you and be like, I need my brother Dale, I need dad Dale, because you are older than me. You don't have any gray hairs, but you're older than me. Or maybe I need that mentor Dale. So if you were gonna leave people with one piece of advice, whether they're listening or watching, what would that advice be?
Something I heard very recently, which has stuck with me, is that nobody's coming to save us and that we have to do this ourselves. Yeah. And so I just want to tell people, if you have a thought and you're wanting to contribute and wanting to make a difference and you want to be empowered, don't wait on anybody. Make the move. That's what we've done, and I encourage other people to do the same thing.
I love that. Don't wait on anybody else. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here. As you know, this is Now Included Unfiltered. So I just appreciate you being number one. I couldn't have it any other way.
Well, pleasure to be here. You just tell me where I'm supposed to be, and that's where I'm at. And so I think you do need to change the name, though, because in order for something to be unfiltered, it has to, at times, be filtered. And that's not you, Tiffany. So let's be honest. So I don't know what the name's going to be, but either way, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My name is Del Smith, and this is Now Included Unfiltered.
Thank you for listening to Now Included Unfiltered. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to give us a follow and leave a 5-star review. We'll see you next week. Next week on Now Included Unfiltered.
You do things when you need something. Necessity is the mother of intervention. Everything that we use and what we wear is a product made by someone. Why not eyewear? And why not better fitting eyewear for our noses, our cheekbones, our faces? You gotta know your industry, you gotta know who runs it, become a part of it.
Wow.
We bring our own chair.
Wow.
We don't wait for them to invite us.
I brought my own chair.
I brought my own
to the
chair
party.
to the table.